United are obviously being consistently linked with central midfielders, and he's a recurring name now, probably one of six that keeps coming up. What can you tell us about him as a player, the potential fit with United, and also from what you're hearing on the circuit, as it were, if there's anything in it?
Well, there was a bit of noise at the end of the transfer window. I don't think it ever got to the point where it was real, but I think he is a player who's on a at least on a long list of a lot of clubs because he brings that kind of strategic um, and pace setting ability into midfield that every team that wants to have possession needs. I think, it's no good saying we want to keep the ball if you don't have players who are very good in tight spaces, make the right moves to create angles. Passing is a collective ability, and keeping the ball is a collective ability. But at the heart of it, you need somebody who kind of pulls the strings. And he's still young, he's still developing, he still, hasn't played a lot of international football at the highest level. But there's a lot of potential there, and I'm not surprised that United, along with Real Madrid, who in Xabi Alonso also have reportedly a big admirer of him, and of course his former club Bayern are all sort of keeping an eye on him. But again, I think it would have been a bit early for him to go straight into the starting 11. And I think this is going to be a topic that we'll have to revisit in the summer, perhaps after a successful World Cup with Germany. At the moment, it looks as if Pavlovic, Goretzka, and Kimmich, two out of those three, will occupy the central areas unless Nagelsmann changes again and puts Kimmich back in the right back position, which he has done in a few games. But Stiller would be very close to those three players when it comes to contesting that position. And if the German national team trusts you or comes close to trusting you to be one of two pivots in midfield, then I think that shows you just how much footballing acumen there is. But early days still for him.
Okay, but if we're looking at United as a long-term project with Amorim, obviously there's not a great deal of play through midfield at the moment. I mean, that might just be a temporary thing while he gets a bit of momentum behind. But you would think there'll be an eye on having some more ball dominance in central areas moving forward. So, like you say, next summer, is that something that is more likely to look at Stiller rather than perhaps January?
Yeah, I think it's going to be difficult in January. German clubs are really reluctant to sell players in January because they know that the market for bringing in replacements is so difficult and so fraught. So I think there'll be difficulty. Also, I think we'll be probably reluctant to make the move in January with the World Cup coming up, unless he thinks that he'll somehow enhance his chances. But I think, being an automatic starter, Stuttgart, who are looking good for the top four, who are playing in the Europa League, albeit with limited success so far, I think he'd be probably hesitant to give all that up in January. But in the summer, there might well come a point where he feels, now is actually the right time to make the next step. And I think he'll have many, many admirers. And I think it'll be less about him sort of having to convince coaches and scouts and so on that he's the right one. I think it'll be the other way around. I think clubs will have to pitch to him and explain why they want him to play for them and in what role and so on. A little bit like it happened with Toni Kroos, who, as you know, very nearly went to United when David Moyes was there.
Want to watch then, most definitely. Rafa, thank you so much for your time. Top man, always a pleasure. And yeah, see you soon.
Pleasure was all mine.